It stopped on the tree and kept looking at Dang Tuan, making him feel something was wrong. What the hell are you looking at? But don't worry about running first to live for a second or that second. So Ta Dang Tuan put his head down and ran a few more steps to discover that there was someone in front of him but had been waiting for a long time. I thought someone turned out to be He Xiaoling. Her whole body was filled with anger everywhere. His gaze was cold, but Ta Dang Tuan's eyes did not recognize it. Oh my God! He Xiaoling of the Federation came to aid Laknat Citadel. I was drowning, but I grabbed a straw. Ta Dang Tuan quickly ran closer to He Xiaoling and said the city was under attack to come quickly as reinforcements. But before reinforcing him, save him first. Being chased by beasts, He Xiaoling listened to everything but did not respond, simply glaring at the other person. Seeing her silent, Ta Dang Tuan screamed again, asking her to save me. In his heart, he secretly thought that he had escaped. Who would have thought? Let him close his mouth. He Xiaoling released so much spirit fire around him. The most outstanding thing was the fire that was squeezing Ta Dang Tuan and striking so fast that it made him drop the entire animal cage he was holding. He Xiaoling's flame turned into a large arm that grabbed Ta Dang Tuan like a mouse. He couldn't understand that action and continued to struggle and scream until he saw the giant wrapped around He Xiaoling's hand and caressed it like he had been familiar for a long time before he stopped. What a surprise! What was even more surprising was when he saw the star ant, the leech that had just chased him, was kneeling in front of him. He Xiaoling opened his mouth and called out 2 times, "Big sister," to Chan Psycho. Ms. Day, He Xiaoling is present here because she wants to inform Tiangwen that the second big brother has an order to withdraw troops, because federal reinforcements will soon arrive. We should not continue fighting to avoid future trouble. Tiangwen respectfully obeyed. As for Ta Dang Tuan, he knows too many things that he shouldn't know and will definitely die when facing reign of the kingdom. He Xiaoling, after a look filled with murderous intent, decided to finish him off with his fire. Ta Dang Tuan tried to scream and wait a bit, but He Xiaoling stuffed fire into his throat. After that, his whole body caught fire. Not even a single piece of it remained. Not even his bones were left. This side of the fence was finally finished, so the Adag Kestrel immediately flew back to inform the Bull Demon King. He shouted in front of the second big brother to announce the good news that the children had been saved. The second big brother turned and shouted at the other kids decisively. "Withdraw!" After that scream, the whole herd immediately left. King Qiang's side was also informed by the Kestrel that the work was done and they both went home. They had already finished dealing with the old man, so why stay? On the way, everyone ran loudly back home. King Kong asked Bull Demon King why he didn't take over the city so that humanity would be less foolish, and Bull Demon King replied that this was He Xiaoling's order and must be obeyed. That's okay, after all, Alang and the Great Snake are safe. If they lose their heads, they really don't know what to say to their boss. Bull Demon King turned to ask the ancient empire to count its casualties. Children with minor injuries were allowed to soak in the crocodile's lake. If the baby is in too much pain, soak in Wuziu's lake. Ancient Empire glanced down and immediately received the second big brother's orders and then went about business. So everything ended. The Willow Tree's family happily went home, leaving Laknat City in ruins, smoke and fire flying everywhere. It was clear that everyone had returned, but inside the city, a huge strange animal foot stepped on it. Behind that foot was a snarling white beak full of fangs. I thought it was just an animal, but it turned out that there was also a group of fully armored knights like in the Middle Ages riding on a panda. Their pandas didn't look anything like the Wuziu pandas. Each one was incredibly big, while Wuziu's king of wine is short. Either way, it looks very fierce. Leading the knights is a rank 2 unreal sublime named Lamnat, ahead of dozens of other knights who now stood silently looking at the ruined city. They rode bears, not horses, so they arrived late. Lamnat looked at the burning pile of rubble, his heart filled with anger. The growth of the northern yew ravine makes it impossible for humans to take it lightly. After walking around for a while, Lamnat suddenly turned his head to look towards the forest. I don't know if he could see if he covered his eyes, but he felt a strange breath deep in the forest. Using some strange skill, Lamnat discovered that the breath belonged to King Qiang. He followed behind to watch for the children to retreat first. Standing in hiding, many kilometers away, still being discovered. It's terrible. Before King Qiang could run away, in less than 10 seconds, a large dark black body rushed towards the position where he was standing. That dark lump landed with an earth-shattering impact, shaking an entire forest of dust and smoke, flying blindly. Making a grand appearance but not seeing anyone being kicked made Lam Nat seem a bit regretful. I accidentally jumped and cracked the entire ground without anyone clearly feeling it, but when I got there I didn't see any ghosts, which was strange. The feeling is correct, but unfortunately King Qiang can go underground to hide and doesn't need to run above. Although he escaped, he was not lightly injured as he rushed away and vomited blood continuously. Fortunately, most of them retreated. If you're a little late to face this guy, your entire army will be destroyed. King Qiang is not one of the 9 great magical beasts, but he is not weak at all. Making King Qiang panic to this extent really cannot be underestimated. Perhaps after this siege, the whole family of willow tree monsters will no longer be at peace. It is very likely that you will have to confront strong people that have never appeared before. The end of the battle at Laknat Citadel made loud news everywhere, making the already hot northern Ravine even hotter. In this state, Reign of the Kingdom's popularity is not behind any TikTok idol. What used to be a forbidden place of forbidden places now makes humanity even more terrified. Where did a strange terrorist beast come out of a mountain to create a terrorist company? The boss is known as the strongest alien beast in the Federation. The employees are all powerful alien beasts. None of them are gentle. The company has granted business, but there is no business. All we see is looting and then pulling together to smash a wall. Let's see if I'm angry or not if I throw up a file and say pop. Yesterday, they overthrew the city at night. Work early in the morning and have to go to a meeting. I'm so sleepy, but I still have to have a meeting. Are you sure the strange beast attack on Laknat Citadel was caused by the British envoys? But what else? Lam Nat's team investigated and found the cause. The strange humanoid beast came to the city to ask for a child, not to go shopping. Before starting the war, he was extremely angry and asked where the strange beast was. Neek Vian's people thought it was an excuse for strange beasts to invade. That's what the soldiers told me. But even if Neek Vian was still alive and told the story himself, he probably wouldn't have said that he went to find trouble with Northern Yu himself. Then they broke my mouth. Because it was black and white mixed with truth and falsehood. The old patriarch of the Neep family was very angry when he received the news. Neep Vian Soe affirmed that the fault was definitely his brother's doing. The proof is that next to the corpse there is a cage for holding babies that he made and no one else. Neep Vian is innocent. Neep Vian doesn't know anything. It was all done by the British envoys. Therefore, our Federation must let them know what politeness is. Neep Vian Soe raised his eyebrows and demanded to send the Iron Knight or Long Dig Guard to England to teach the enemy country. As we know, the Iron Knight Long Dig Guard is probably even more advanced. It looks like England is about to receive a Pro-Max version of the physical education course. Before the harsh attitude of the Neep family patriarch, the high-ranking commander was 3 parts out of respect and 7 parts out of anger. So after being silent for a while, he made a decision. First, cancel the supply of supplies to England. Second, a delegation of envoys went to visit. If you have asked but the other party cannot answer any reasonable questions, then send Long Dig Guard over there to work. Thinking about it again and again, humans wouldn't dare touch Northern Yu. In the end, after being overthrown, he still left Northern Yu alone. To be exact, people only dare to bully those who are weaker than them. But when they fight with strong people, they will punch their mouths to pieces. Wu Ziyu hasn't shown up yet in the last match. The staff has been fighting since last night, and now the boss has just heard the news. A day said all this time. In short, it's your country, the envoy group or something causing enmity. You don't need to worry about those things, bird. There's he chilling at home and letting his daughter handle it is enough. It's time to fly back to the company and tell the whole animal lovers to calm down. Wherever he is not present, you cannot act arbitrarily. In this case, besides England and the city of Laknat, the Iron Knights are worth paying attention to. It seems that the Federation still holds its trump card. That's why I told the whole animal lover family not to cause any more trouble. If a dog is forced to a dead end, he won't know what he'll do if he jumps the federal wall. The opponent's strength is unknown, so you shouldn't show off too much. You have to be extremely careful. If anything happens, you have to wait for me to come back and handle it. A dad heard. After hearing this, the child should have shouted back to the boss. But this time the baby didn't scream. He screamed out yes, which was scary. It's not in vain that in the past, giving shit to the head is now available in human language. He was also very good at receiving orders and immediately sped away, leaving behind a quiet Wu Ziyu in the middle of the North Pole. Why don't you worry? Just carrying the roots for a little while at home, there was a huge fight. I can't rest assured. While he was thinking for a moment, the king of wine picked up his cloak and walked out, rubbing his eyes and asking who he was talking to. It doesn't matter who you talked to just now. The important thing is that I'm talking to you right now, bear, so you should wake up. Little panda, if we suddenly had a conflict with your clan, would you be able to suppress them? It was just dawn and the boss asked such a strange question. I'm not sure. The panda tribe that has always been simple and good will follow that person very simply. In the past, he ran out of the zoo and called his brother to run with him, but his brother didn't want to go. He also said that there's nothing wrong with eating and drinking until you die. If you're so leisurely, why do you have to mess around outside? Actually, the king of wine's older brother is extremely lazy. Even Wu Ziyu was speechless. Honey badgers are not that lazy either. Having said that, let's go to sleep, boss. It's not that baby is lazy. It's that since arriving at the cold North Pole, he's been incredibly sleepy. Maybe hibernating instincts kicked in or something. Wu Ziyu was so busy thinking that he let the king of wine go inside. His head was currently rolling with a bunch of data about the panda tribe. Unlike other low-level beasts, pandas rely on seeing whose fist is stronger and then following that person. They have strong personal will. If classified by race level, the panda is a type of strange beast with the highest or second highest qualifications among the different breeds of strange beasts. The bear's strength, the speed of a cat, the teeth of a dog, incredible slapping power, and invincible claws. Those alone are strong enough. The panda tribe in particular also has a flexible absorption talent that allows the tribe to absorb a variety of minerals. Any type of stone can be absorbed, so use it in any system. Absorbing Lingxi both enhances elemental properties and strengthens the physical body. The more you absorb, the stronger it becomes. The Iron Knights that King Qian encountered last night would not stop at that level of strength. Later on, it will develop further. Perhaps one day it will clash with Northern Yu. I'm so tired. Should I also cultivate powerful armies? Even if they fight in the future, there will be no difference. The current strange beasts of Reign of the Kingdom are already very strong. But to confront the main force of humans, we can only count 9 great demonic beasts. Although there are many other children, they are all construction workers, delivery men, construction workers, etc. Not to mention, there are a few children in the house who often cause trouble. He doesn't have a team that is a real beast. Therefore, even if the employee is sleeping for a long time, he must still assign tasks. Heaven avoid food, not sleep, so Wu Ziyu directly reached in and carried the king of wine out by his feet. At first, it was very gentle, but then the baby jerked and wanted to spit out. The 9th big brother sleeps like a log. Up and down, its eyes still refuse to open. Wanting to delegate tasks is very difficult. Being a boss is not easy, especially being the boss of stubborn kids like this. During office hours, he dares to sleep, drool, and even talk in his sleep. 7th little wants to laugh. Ha ha! What the hell is that? Wake up now or I'll slap you now. Having said that, he immediately hit the baby. King of Wine was small, but he beat him so much that his face was bruised and his teeth and lips were mixed. But it seems like he's awake and a little tired. But his spirit is still very excited. Whatever is fine as long as you are awake to assign tasks. You go find the polar bear's lair for me. Clearly, it's clear. The baby will definitely find as many of his kind as possible as soon as possible. King of Wine walked aggressively, his whole body filled with enthusiasm, ready to complete his mission. But while I was walking, I accidentally tripped and fell face down on the snow and found that the snow was soft and cool, suitable for sleeping. Take a nap. Ignore what your boss tells you. So embarrassing, 9th big brother. I'll probably get my ass whipped by Wu Ziyu soon. That scene was too horrifying. So we turned to another direction. Today, let's take a look at the ocean. There are still many mysteries in this place, so the cameraman waited in right away for me. Look, there's a rank 1 sperm whale here. The fish is fat, but unfortunately, even so, it is not even a fraction as big as the tentacle that is circling its body. Just a light movement caught the sperm whale in his hand. The owner of that fingerless hand is a large octopus with 2 glowing eyes. It wraps itself around a sperm whale and looks like it's wrapping an empty tilapia, always tiny. Isn't that scary enough to look at? Let's imagine a bit. A normal adult sperm whale will reach a length of 20 meters. The average person is 1.7 meters tall, so it would take about 12 people to be as big as a sperm whale. That's a normal sperm whale, but the fish in this place is 100 times bigger. Yet the octopus bites in just one shot with its jagged jaws, big teeth and small teeth, so it eats a seafood buffet in the middle of the ocean. His mouth was so damaged that fish blood splattered all over his face. This multi-legged creature is the king octopus and has now reached rank 3, equal to our Wuziu's rank. Currently, the willow tree does not know the octopus and the octopus does not know the willow tree. Of course, the two are not close, but the earth is very round and will soon meet. Right now, our Wuziu is busy reviewing his own skill list, except for the level 4 vines. Most of the others are level 3. Specifically, the roots and skills like Liu Yi Fido, Fog of Illusion, Blood Contract, Earth Element, Regeneration skills. Reproductive skills are all level 3. Next is Wooden Dragon with the Ice Storm skill, which is still level 1. The remaining Refining Force and Feather Fire are currently level 1. Feather Fire is not important, but Refining Force has appeared for a long time, but he has not raised it once. There are no evolution points. Now there are evolution points, but Wuziu still hasn't decided to raise Refining Force. The things he paid most attention to were the Wooden Dragon and the Ice and Snow Storm. Here, he absorbed Lingxi Ice and raised himself to 600,000 spirit power. There are also more than 400,000 evolution points that cannot be spent, and upgrading 2 new skills will definitely help him increase spirit power. Besides so, the first thing to do is upgrade the Blizzard to level 3. After pressing the grant button, the 40,000 in my account disappeared. But he didn't feel like he had changed much. When I held up my armpits, I couldn't see any white armpit hair growing out. It seems that this kind of power is not directly manifested in the body. Next is to upgrade to Wooden Dragon, mainly because the previous day was focused on upgrading attack skills, so I temporarily ignored it. Another part is that this Wooden Dragon takes a lot of spiritual energy to evolve to 500,000 points. Before, I had a few evolution points and didn't dare to upgrade. Now I dare to upgrade. Click Upgrade immediately. This time, after clicking Root, not only will a 50,000 in your account fly away, but there will also be bonus effects. The dazzling purple-pink light appeared as if a bomb had just exploded right at the foot of the willow tree. Along with that light came intense pain that made his hair stand up and scream like crazy. It's been a long time since I've seen this scene. My heart feels strangely excited. The day before, when he lifted the first root, it was also writhing like that. Seeing the egg cry made me very happy. It seems lifting Wooden Dragon is much more painful than lifting tree roots. Wuziu roared and still refused to stay silent, shooting bright spirit power into the sky. Even hundreds of meters deep in the ocean can still be heard. I was going to swim away, but I had to turn back. Otherwise, there would be no movie for the audience to watch. Not only the Octopus King, but also the whole sea stirred up after Wuziu's scream. This fish and that fish of all kinds and shapes all swim towards the North Pole. Every fish hastily rushes in the direction of that light. It was as if they saw the band Blackpink on the street. They rushed to get an autograph. But unfortunately, the singer who shouted was not a hot girl at all, just a green egg. Even so, it still looks very cowardly. Just upgraded Wooden Dragon. Before the pain was finished, some crazy people came to find trouble. The scariest thing is this killer whale. His face looks like an addict who hasn't used narcotics for a long time. It was also true that Wuziu released a large spirit power that attracted them. Just like the baby snake in the past, they came here to eat the willow tree. Oh God, save me. Help me. After being upgraded, my body is still very sore. Don't kill me, guys. The fish heard it, but the fish didn't know the language of the trees, so it just rushed forward. It craved Wuziu's body and wanted to devour every leaf and root of him. But in life, you can't just do what you want. Wuziu was not stupid, but stood still and let it bite him. He quickly fought back with vines filled with his ice energy. Gently blow the icy wind into the fish's throat, and it becomes canned fish right on the spot. Not only it, but the entire sea in front of it has turned to ice. The shrimp and fish were all frozen white. Even the ocean waves followed his spirit power's direction and turned into hard, sharp pieces. Wuziu finally reached this day. Ice spirit power combined with the power of level 4 vines can freeze half of the ocean. It's so good, but before anyone could laugh, the thick, shiny layer of ice suddenly and strangely cracked. From below protruded a sharp spear with countless small serrated teeth. The mutated swordfish stands up in a flash. It really surprised him. As soon as it got out of the ice, it crashed straight into the egg. Concussion from the impact, sparks and flashes of all kinds. Surprising yet. Sneaking attacks are good, but you can't hit them. In short, how can you hit it? Want to touch my egg? Cricket, I'll strangle you to death. Oh my god, he receives 170,000 evolution points. The highest number of points collected ever. It's so strong, no wonder it makes blood look beautiful. Look there. This is how the willow tree shows off everyone. The monster with the most points ever that he killed was like killing a chicken or a duck. It proves that our willow tree has become much stronger. The last two crazy fishes didn't make him even drop a drop of sweat. But there are not just two fish in the sea. Wuziu pointed his eyes down at the ice surface and frankly called out to his friend hiding under there. That friend only waited that long after the invitation when the ice surface shook violently. Even though I'm introverted, the landlord always refuses to call. It's too cold for him to hide under. I was a bit sulky, so I had to traumatize the homeowners a bit to satisfy him. It was a bit shy when it emerged with its whole body, so the octopus stuck out its tentacle first to greet him. It just poked once and heard a loud thud as far as the horizon. Then he stretched out his tentacle about 7 or 8 times the height of the host to greet him. He did it gently, but for some reason, large chunks of ice flew everywhere, hitting the surface of the egg. The current egg did not dare to blink for fear of missing the scene. I'm afraid that in the blink of an eye, my pink hair will disappear. Dozens of tentacles sprouted from under the ice layer. They wiggled and waved in all sorts of fierce shapes. It kept bouncing from each tentacle. Each piece of ice was broken. It quietly from space. From the beast's eyes, it makes people be careful with every breath. King Octopus stands tall in front of the willow tree. This scene is both strange and familiar, like the scene where Wuziu faced the baby snake for the first time. Even though they are at the same level, they feel a strange sense of pressure. The octopus was the first to attack. It opened its teeth-filled beak and headed straight for Wuziu's foliage. It looks terrible, but Wuziu is no longer the Wuziu of the past. He wasn't afraid at all. On the contrary, he felt excited. First time facing the overlord of the ocean to see which sea animal or land animal is stronger. Guess who is the most worried about two generals fighting each other? Multi-species companies worry or sea creatures worry. Humans are the ones who worry the most. Spirit Power headquarters in Lokwak, name of place, is now in chaos. Red warnings cover all computer screens. The amount of spirit power measured today broke all previous records. The terrible source of spirit power comes from two terrible creatures in the sea. I don't know what creature it is, so I have to show it to see. Following the boss's scream, the employee immediately put the image on the main screen. The first thing they saw was the black root hitting the ground hard. Behind that root are a series of even more horrifying images that make them sweat like a pig. Everything on the screen has tentacles and tree roots. They are facing each other head-on. Two equally strong monsters in the same place. Every child is terrible, and especially no one can lose to the other. However, the scariest thing that made them send out loud so signals was Wuziu. Apparently in northern Yu, he traveled all the way to the beach without warning the authorities, just in time to see the screen crash again. It jerked like an old black and white TV. No matter how I fix it, I can't get a signal. The saddest thing is when there's a fight, but you can't watch it. Well, my condolences to my friends. I'll go to the next beach. You guys go alone when you're sad. Carrying the camera to the spot, I was just in time to see the fight. This time it was the purple octopus that made the first move. After the beat from before, the tentacles take lives. Exactly, use tentacles to tightly wrap the opponent. The tactile receptors on the tentacles will, through contact, absorb the opponent's spirit power little by little. Wuziu also had this skill. Before, he poked Honey Badger's butt to try sucking it. But he didn't expect to experience it himself today. It doesn't feel very comfortable. Wu Ziyu doesn't like this. He responded by releasing a snake to bite the octopus's head. Bite so hard that you accidentally caught the octopus's brain. After Wu Ziyu's attack, it swung all its tentacles towards him. Use those tentacles to wrap tightly around the willow tree, then grab his head and hair in various ways to drag him into the sea to cool off. However, Wu Ziyu very much disliked it. Since my reincarnation, I have not known what bathing is, so don't force me to take a bath. He struggled by using Liu Ye Feido to cut the octopus's tentacles into pieces. The octopus was cut so painfully that it decided not to use its tentacles anymore but bit directly into the head of the willow tree. The octopus took a bite and selected Wu Ziyu's whole body. If you can bite down on the sandy soil outside and use it as a spice to keep it in your mouth, it must be very delicious when you chew it. But no matter how much you chew it, it still doesn't feel soft. On the contrary, it still hurts. Biting a tree, I thought I was biting a tank, and then was shot through. Those light pillars looked like artillery shells flying into the sky one by one, stabbings all over the octopus king's face. Finally, those pillars of light clustered together into a large pillar of light that pierced the octopus's mouth. Blood splashed out. The octopus couldn't stand it anymore and had to let go of the willow tree. After chewing all this time, Wu Ziyu didn't lose any leaves and the octopus didn't seem to be doing very well. Its mouth filled with smoke and then it jumped back, away from the willow tree. It seems like he sensed danger, but even so, it certainly won't give up on this pink cauliflower. Wu Ziyu won't forgive him either. Just now, you stuffed someone's mouth and made your head rot. Now, don't try to run away. The whole sky lit up with millions large and small fireballs appearing. The battle had now officially begun. The battle between a 9-month pregnant willow tree and a giant octopus crawling ashore must be different from the norm. With the same effect as an idol opening a concert, the octopus looked up at the large and small light of the feather fire above and froze for a few seconds. While he was happy because he thought Wu Ziyu invested in sparkling effects for his appearance, he poured a bucket of cold water with his fierce, stupid voice. Goodbye. The whole set of flashing lights overhead collapsed on the octopus's head, kicking up all the rocks under its feet and all the great land ice and wind. Fire and ice mixed together and knead the octopus into a fresh salad. It didn't want to be an appetizer here, so it jumped out, bringing all its burning tentacles back to the ocean. The octopus didn't bother to wrap its tentacles around the pregnant willow tree anymore. She was so afraid that Wu Ziyu would be pregnant with her seed that she left her property and ran away to find someone else. But Wu Ziyu has never been hugged like an octopus since he was transported into space, determined not to let him escape. He yelled at the other guy to stop. He screamed while opening his throat, but the octopus still ran away. Out of moves, Wu Ziyu used refining force to harden the tree roots and vines. Then he flicked away how many tentacles of the octopus he held. The tangle of roots looks like the hair of a long-haired ghost that has been entangled and will not let go. Even though this octopus eats a lot and is a bit overweight, Wu Ziyu won't body-shaming it because of that. He also used all this strength to carry the 1,000-pound octopus out of the water, touched by the warm action of the willow tree saving the octopus from drowning in the ocean. It turns out that our male lead is still a willow tree with a good personality, right everyone? Faced with Wu Ziyu's passionate feelings, the octopus was about to run home. Suddenly brought back to ground, it closes its eyes as if thinking about what gift to give. Responded to Wu Ziyu's sentiments. In a moment, his tiny pupils opened up like, "Ah, I figured it out. There's nothing better than a passionate kiss." The octopus sprayed a bunch of corrosive black enzymes called corrosive ink straight from Wu Ziyu's head to toes, not allowing him to refuse. Suddenly, while he was in the getting acquainted stage, he gave Wu Ziyu enzymes. Doesn't feel right at all. He let out a loud scream, but couldn't stop it in time. The surrounding sky and earth were dark and everything was dyed black to the point where Wu Ziyu's tree roots and vines were nowhere to be seen. The octopus hit the ground below with a thud, completely exhausted after its intense display of affection. Maybe he thought that coming here, he could gently crawl back to the ocean to recuperate. Unexpectedly, on the side where the willow tree used to be, there was a sound of flowing to the ground. Something twisted gradually revealed itself under the corrosive ink. Gradually, the water drained and clearly saw Wu Ziyu's enhanced roots covering his entire willow tree. Waiting until all that black ink fell from Wu Ziyu's body, he shyly looked at the outside world. Listen to the alarm system and the branch will take 40/100 damage, so you have to use the regeneration skill. His tree roots are also seriously damaged, causing his attack power to decrease. It takes some time to regenerate like before. It's true that in love, whoever wants to hold on will get hurt. Just because he wanted to keep the level 3 octopus with him, his tree roots were terribly corroded. Fortunately, the reaction was quick, so there was still more than half of the usable roots left. Otherwise, Wu Ziyu would have fallen victim to the black poison. The green octopus saw that Wu Ziyu was still quite healthy, so he pulled his tentacles down to the ground and rushed over to him. The ground between the two of them was eroded by the ink, making holes like a highway that hadn't been repaired for 10 years. Separate the octopus's footsteps, but it didn't have any patience at all and let out a squeak sound. The octopus carried its happily extended groin towards Wu Ziyu. Maybe she wanted to show him a little more affection, but now he felt like he was no longer in love, so he brutally raised his level 4 branches and used them along with the ice element once more to call out wind and ice great land to blow and freeze the octopus. From a half-burnt, half-pale third-rank monster, Wu Ziyu turned it into a giant, motionless block of cold ice cream. He just gathered his tree branches to observe the situation. The ground was covered by wind and ice great land for several dozen meters. Highlights the laughing octopus cheese jelly block. A few seconds later, it might have whipped Wu Ziyu to close the box for him. Looked up to see the octopus's fanged crotch blocking the light above his head. He thought to himself that it was true that the third-rank monster's feelings were so strong that they almost killed him. He called the head kestrel and told him to go and call his brothers back here. I'm sure you already guessed what you came here for. Open a grilled octopus party. During the time of mutation, there were not many people and animals left alive, but suddenly there was food offered to our mouths like that. It would be a waste not to eat. Wu Ziyu's multispecies companies lit a huge fire. On top, slowly rotate the octopus skewers until cooked evenly. His employees, who had been eating wild foods for a long time, are now very excited about having freshly caught seafood. But I can't bite. King Kang's teeth bared from her beef-colored lips that were too hot to tear. I thought the octopus skin was too thick, but it's actually not, because your boss doesn't know how to preserve food. He freezes fresh octopus, defrosts it, burns it, then freezes it, saying the quality has decreased. But anyway, it's very rare to have seafood. 8 big brothers swallowed the tentacle and choked on it. Oh my God, why are you so greedy for food and drink? Everyone has their share in everything. Eating like that choked to death. Could it be that I went to the cave of hell because I was hungry for food, so I accidentally reincarnated? On the other side, the tiger was stupid and didn't know if he would eat or not, so he carried the octopus intestines around, making Kim Xiang feel disgusted. I'm a vegetarian. Are you kidding me, tiger? Don't bring it over here. I'll punch you. Wu Ziyu's noisy voices and laughter right under the willow tree made him feel a little warmer. The 9-tailed fox did not eat but stood next to him watching the company gather together like the night of the 30th of Tet. It's been a long time since I've seen such a bustling scene, since the brothers took on the task of expanding the area. Everyone is busy. Looking down at ancient empire, his skin color now looks exactly like his own son. Wu Ziyu gently asked, "Are you about to break through?" Although its speed is much slower than the 9-tailed fox, ancient empire is still one of the leaders. Turning back to the stupid tiger, he twitched his wings in excitement. Wu Ziyu pout, mouth without tongue. Why are you still in the new stage of rank 1? The white tiger is both rare and fierce. How come you don't know how to be greedy at all? When he heard Wu Ziyu say he wasn't greedy, he put on a cute face and accepted his boss's compliments. Oh my God, I'm cursing you. Why are you laughing? Helpless. I spent so much time cursing at him and yet he thanked me. Below him, the grilled octopus was still spinning, emitting a fragrant aroma. Kim Xiang looked up at its massive size. It must be recognized that the power of this company's director was becoming stronger and stronger. Anyone who comes to the area will be immediately destroyed. If you keep going like this, Wu Ziyu will one day have enough power to destroy the entire world. If you keep coming to him to cause trouble, while chewing, King Qiang suddenly looked up and asked the mouse next to him who was also enjoying grilled octopus. Hey, do you feel like someone is missing? Mouse asked immediately if he is the quiet person who covers his head all the time, or not. King didn't care and looked straight inward. He asked someone else. That guy jumped out from nowhere and scared them both. Quick, come here and eat with us. If you're late, you'll have to split the money. The company employees' calls to each other and the excited food delivery were so loud throughout the area that no one noticed a white-furred child inside the dark cave. The white crane was shedding tears and his whole body was shaking, but he did not come out to party with his colleagues. For a long time, the author rarely mentioned Bakak, mainly letting it hang out with tigers, sometimes making it stupid and not remembering its existence. Now he's crying alone in the corner, like this. I don't know if it's because the crane doesn't have teeth to bite the octopus or because no one invited him to eat with him, so he's lonely. Wu Ziyu enjoyed the warm and happy feeling for a while, thinking to himself that the squid was so big. Why didn't he find satay and pour it in to make it fragrant? Also make fried squid or something to eat to relieve boredom. Suddenly he stuck some roots into the head of the octopus, which had turned orange due to the fire. Groping around in there for a while, he brought out 3 blue hearts. This octopus is about to burn outside, but its heart hasn't changed color yet. Whichever chef cooks the food here, call the manager out to talk. But his employees didn't care whether it was cooked or not, nor did they care how much octopus they ate. Whenever he sees something strange, he immediately opens his mouth and looks at it. Saliva flowed freely, filled with longing. Even the older brothers watched without taking their eyes off. Surely they had never seen what an octopus heart is like. Maybe we don't even know that octopuses have hearts. Looking at that expression, you know everyone wants a bite. Even though I don't know what it tastes like or what effects it has. But eating just one piece will definitely fill your stomach. For those of you who don't know, octopuses have 3 hearts and 9 brains. If you don't believe it, just look it up on Google. Later, when you eat an octopus, try to see if its heart is green. The heart of a rank 3 octopus is like a scarce thing crystallized from the earth and sky. If speaking in Xiangxia language, this is like taking a pill to speed up the leveling process. If you find a green heart in an octopus and eat it and see your armpits growing wings, then the recipe is correct. Many people crave it, but only have 3 hearts. Wu Ziyu decisively raised his hand and cut these 3 hearts into pieces. Each small piece of blue flew towards his impatiently waiting staff. Tyrant and Ancient Empire looked up, waiting for Wu Ziyu's orders. But if these 3 didn't have to wait for orders, they would have eaten. Their mouths were open to make way for the heart. Here, just fly in. We'll eat for you. This tiger just joined the group King and his friends. When he saw the food, his face turned completely stupid. His mouth opened, and he waited while King Kong slowly stretched out his hand to receive the dessert. Perhaps this will be the honey badger's new favorite dish after beef jerky and pork jerky. He held it with both hands, and his face turned red, both as if he were shy and as if he was trying to hold back from snapping. Everyone had a share before Wu Ziyu spoke up and allowed them to eat. Rare item, hard to find. When I eat it, my armpit twitches. I don't know if they were afraid that their armpits would be pulled, but Ancient Empire just bit into it and its mouth emitted a bright purple light. Meanwhile, a similar light emitted from King Kiang's mouth even though he clenched his teeth together. Where the 2 of them were standing, a column of light shot up into the sky. I don't know if it mixes with the smell of grilled octopus released into the air. Unexpectedly, the octopus heart had not yet touched the bottom of King Kiang's stomach and the Ancient Empire had already begun to level up. The stupid tiger stopped eating and looked full of admiration, to which Wu Ziyu let out a terrifying scream. When the light pillar just turned off, allowing him to clearly see the shape of the Ancient Empire. The second-rank crocodile has the same shape as a gorilla with 69 horns from its head stretching down to its anus. Up to this level, Ancient Empire is quite similar to Bull Demon King in that it can stand on 2 legs, begins to transform into a half-human, half-animal form. It looks like an ancient beast in history books. Besides King Kiang, who was ranked 2nd, it looked like he had just returned from exporting labor to an African coal mine for 80 years. His whole body was light, dead, sharp thorns sprout from his back. Only her dark eyes and beef-colored lips remained intact enough to be recognized. Wu Ziyu's eyes opened as wide as possible to look carefully at the new appearance of these 2 children. The story of the Ancient Empire being able to stand on 2 legs was also interesting, but it was King Kiang that made him admire. How he evolved further and further out of the scope of human form. Looks more like it is related to the earth element. The aura emitted was nothing like that of a human. Look at this guy clenching his fists like an unreal sublime villain who just stole his power. This form resembles the devil's son. Yet King Kong ran back and complimented him. Wow, how handsome King Kiang is now, even more handsome. He happily told her to step back a bit to show that he was not only handsome, but also strong. Let's see. King Kiang braced himself, imagining a big mosquito sucking his blood, and screamed fiercely. Smashed his big hand flat on the ground. I don't know what he can create that makes all the brothers and sisters gasp and widen their eyes. The ground under King Kiang's feet formed the shape of a massive building, and then soared into the air. Above is him standing with his arms crossed, looking very cool. The entire newly built house seemed to be on a flying mountain hovering a distance above Wu Ziyu's head. Although very spectacular, it must be said that the architectural aesthetics are very bad. Having such ability to choose this type of ant nest made Kim Xiang exclaim, but it doesn't seem to be as greedy as Wu Ziyu. Looking up at King Qiang, who was standing on top of the newly built tower, he howled and asked his boss, "Boss, do you think I'm good?" Ha 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 ha. Recognizing how powerful this ability is, being able to build a few villas in the city can make money. The children below excitedly praise each other. When Thien Quan started to praise, King Qiang collapsed like a car running out of gas. Raise your hand to like and thank the audience for watching this performance. But my time as a mountain star is over. King Qiang was so tired and out of breath that his body changed from black to normal color within a few seconds and looked ragged. Just now, his juniors were drowning him in a rain of compliments, but now they're criticizing him for being so bad. I haven't finished the psalm yet and I'm already exhausted. I used up all my spirit power in one go to get to this point. Next time, please be less expressive, bro. I see my brother is about to lose Kim Qiang's color below. He looks like he's about to die. It's okay to brag a little. King Qiang didn't have the strength to answer anymore. He fainted but was grabbed by a green hand. Although his hands are large, they are very skillful. Such long pointed nails did not scratch King Qiang's body at all. Holding King Qiang closer forth, big brother heaved a long sigh. Is this falling from a building part of the script? I think the fall was a bit smooth. It must have been staged, right? King Qiang's whole body was muscular and fell into the hands of fourth big brother like a toy. He lifted his face and breathed out 3 words of thanks. Looks devastated. Ancient Empire squinted his eyes and opened his mouth full of teeth. Jagged teeth, said Ock. Since evolving, it no longer has the dark red color like Wu Ziyu's biological child. He returned to his life as an employee again, but he was still very happy to see Ancient Empire's body, admiring that this fourth big brother looked more and more like a giant dragon. Don't say you're about to evolve into a dragon. I don't know what he was thinking in his head. I don't know what evolutionary theory says a crocodile can turn into a dragon. This appearance of the Ancient Empire looks a bit scary. Being included in the 9 great beasts from the beginning was an extremely correct decision. Even though it has suppressed spirit power, from its body it still radiates a strong feeling that is difficult to describe in words. There is also the violent hemoglobin skill. Allows to increase anger proportional to the level of injury, along with the strength, combat speed and recovery speed also increasing several times. This ability is scary, really. The more injured he is, the more he feels like killing, and bringing it into battle is only beneficial, not harmful. Ancient Empire will definitely become an extremely scary character on the battlefield. Suddenly there was the sound of Kim Qiang alertly shouting. There are many intense auras. Wu Ziyu immediately looked in the direction she was looking. I discovered someone's picture was familiar. King of Wine walked and poured wine into his mouth, looking like a drunk guy. But this drunk guy led a group of gangsters behind him today. They're also bears, but they came back from a cold place, which one had white fur and something that glowed like blue fire. King of Wine's face looked extremely cheerful. It looked like he was very proud of his achievements. Suddenly the King of Wine's feet lifted a step and the ground below immediately froze. Wherever it touches, it freezes immediately. King Qiang saw that something was wrong and shouted for the first time after today. What a coincidence! It seems like everyone has new skills. King of Wine Lean continuously created ice with each step, bringing the white-furred bears straight to where Wu Ziyu was waiting. He silently waited for the king of wine to approach without saying a word. The day before, when the ninth big brother was dozing off, he unexpectedly passed away for a few days and successfully completed the task. This group of polar bears is not as large as the ice bears, but each one is the same. Looks extremely high quality. At the head of them was the king of wine, who was listening and laughing. Nothing like the lovely faces behind. He bared his jaw and smiled, but did not see divine beings asking. So he spoke first. Why did the director say anything? I brought the whole tribe here. The two children who had been closely following King of Wine all this time suddenly spoke up as if they wanted to talk to Wuziyu. However, they couldn't say words yet and still had childish features, so Wuziyu tried to force a smile to welcome the new members. Who would have thought that the smile on his lips was distorted and looked more like a devil than a friendly pregnant willow tree? The two white bears that had just happily greeted him were now trembling before Wuziyu's kind face. Made King of Wine immediately scream, "Boss, you scared them too much." But Wuziyu did not believe that Din was the cute face used to play with children. If any part is too difficult, I'll just skip it and find out who owns this place. He glanced at the group of white bears in front of him and discovered that the four leading bears next to each other had all reached rank 1. 4 rank 1 bears is an extremely great achievement. Not to mention the total number of bears King of Wine brought back was up to 120 bears. It seems more correct to say tribal. It is difficult for bears to travel together in such large numbers. The second rank 1 in the lead has 3 scars. Looking at this bloody battle, he is probably the big brother of the whole herd. Looking at him, he immediately discovered that he had gone through hundreds of battles, not to mention that he also had a natural talent with the cool name Thunder Claws. Special ability uses lightning claws to absorb into the body. Its entire body is covered with lightning from inside out. Even a roar or a few hairs can be charged with electricity. This skill can even turn a few kilometers around into an area filled with only thunder and lightning. This child must have been a lightning Superman in his previous life to be able to store such a terrible amount of electricity in his body, or to have been favored by the god of thunder, Thor, to have such terrible attributes. Wuziyu couldn't help but marvel in his heart and asked an extremely important question. How could you bring such a strong tribe here? Even if the ice bear died that day, it would not yield. King of Wine crossed his arms with a fake smile as if he had been waiting for this question from his boss for a long time. He spoke excitedly, briefly explaining that he had negotiated with these white bears, not to ask them to tame him, but as an ally. King of Wine's ally, although not born on the same day and month, he vows to die on the same month and year. He offered to provide food and accommodation for the whole group to close the deal quickly and smoothly, but Wuziyu can take care of that. He then wrapped the branch around its neck and gently let it go. Uncle, you did very well. Now that he owns the land and he is also the head of a kingdom, let him worry about the food and clothing of the people. The leader of the pack let out a growl as if agreeing with what King of Wine had just said. Even though Wuziyu didn't understand, Ninth Big Brother translated it right away. That bear said that once you are an ally, you can rest assured that you can rely on them. Ugh, someone get me a pen and paper so I can sign the contract. Speaking without anyone giving him a contract, Wuziyu quickly shook the leader's hand. Seeing that the alliance was quickly formed, they decided to continue partying. A golden monkey riding on a wild boar's head brought a giant bottle of wine from somewhere. What he meant was to congratulate our close friendship, not that we wanted to drink. If there is grilled meat, there must be suitable wine. Wuziyu let them hold a second party at the same place, not knowing if they ran out of alcohol. Would they continue to sing karaoke? The King of Wine didn't invite you guys and just brought out the bottle of wine. The King of Wine wanted to jump in and bathe in the wine, and luckily the golden monkey kept it. Otherwise, no one would dare drink it again. Done here for now. Wuziyu also kept a piece of his heart for Leader Feng and asked King Qiang to bring it back to them. A third-rank strange beast brought them a lot of food, toys, and evolutions, not to mention a lot of spirit power points. New skills added. Show it up for me to see. The system told him that it was a transfer skill that transferred part of his consciousness and spirit power to the new tree. Still don't think he's human. If used for long-term transfer, it can be completely fixed on the new tree permanently. This skill sounds very virtual. Allow them to separate his consciousness and install it on a tree that doesn't have the willow family. So there will be Wu Ziyu transferred to the mushroom. Just listening to it makes me feel chills. He doesn't want to have multiple personalities everywhere like that. Thinking of myself as a pregnant mushroom makes me want to give up. Let's take it slow and think about it later. He attentively studied scores and skills. Ignore the staff next to you who are jubilantly drinking. Far away from Wu Ziyu's place, in the green meadow, there is a lake that looks very calm. This time I came here not because of any mutated catfish, but because of this flower plant with rainbow-colored petals. It seemed like it had just hatched from a strange stem. Twisting the tender purple leaves, just catching the wind, I suddenly heard his voice. Where is this, and who am I? I thought that the fertile alluvial soil should produce a brilliant rainbow-colored flower, but it turns out it floats on the water. I don't know how strong its roots are to be able to lift the flower from the swirling whirlpool below. Then suddenly a column of dark red light shot up from there. I thought it would shoot up a rainbow of 7 colors or flash like at the bar. It turned out to be just a simple spirit power column that was not to be despised. In White Emperor City to build a high-walled gate hundreds of kilometers away from that lake. Yet there is unreal sublime. Just using your nose to smell its aura. This guy with white hair flying in the wind looks like unreal sublime. But of course no one gives a private lens to a soldier if there is no reason. He is the city lord of White Emperor City. Wang Hao is one of the 10 great masters of the Federation. Glancing back, he ordered his subordinates to quickly notify the Federation. Near our city, a new mutation has just appeared. Always notify subordinates to summon human resources. Let's go there and check. Wang Hao's hair is already gray, but his personality is still as hot as ice cream, leading people around and not saying much. The news that Wang Hao led people to find the source of spirit power spread to Zhenhe City, immediately making people jealous. Stood in front of the screen and muttered, "That guy is so lucky that such a rare thing appeared right near White Emperor City." The subordinate heard that the muscular green-haired man was jealous of Wang Hao and immediately took advantage of it to add fuel to the fire. Criticizing Wang Hao as a stupid person, he didn't know what the hell he did when he rose to the position of city lord. I thought I would be complimented by the city lord of Zhenhe, but instead I received a punch on his nose that was both embarrassing and painful, but I didn't dare to argue back. I could only kneel down and hug my bloody nose. Zhao Jiao clenched his fist and warned his subordinates to put away their karmic mouth. Wang Hao is a city lord who is also among the top 10 masters and is an opponent that Zhao Jiao has both admired and competed with for a long time. Don't let a lowly person say whatever he wants. Since Wang Hao started, Zhao Jiao also had to start. Even if the information comes later, we must try our best to catch up. The remaining subordinates are more familiar with Zhao Jiao's personality. He doesn't say stupid things to get slapped, just gently obey to call for people to gather and prepare to leave with City Lord Zhenhe. His whole body glowed with a dense stream of spirit power that covered his entire body, looking hot just like his personality. If you have gathered people to get that flower, Zhao Jiao wanted that mutated plant to be his. Wang Hao knew that once the gang's people knew about this flower that was about to appear, they would come and grab it. But little did he know that in addition to those who openly brought people, there were also mysterious forces coming. Soon the once quiet Federation was now boiling over because of a 7-colored flower. In Zim City, where the sky is blue and sunny, it looks very peaceful from the outside. But inside, news about the mutated flower has spread. He Xiaoling stood calmly on the rooftop and asked a person behind him, "Has that flower that is said to be stronger than a strange beast appeared?" The collar splits on both sides, a vampire's trademark. Kai Li's younger brother, who was loyal to He Xiaoling, reported that other cities had sent people to pick flowers. They must bring the flower back at all costs. Even the secret army has been dispatched. He Xiaoling just nodded slightly to understand the information. No further discussion. Looking at her, it looked like she was in harmony with nature, but inside her beautiful head, she was not happy at all. After a few days, the United Federation disintegrated. If there is something more beneficial, such as a flower with more colors than the rest, they will compete to snatch it. I don't remember anything about the previous agreements. Every federal city hopes to get this flower into their hands. But no matter who gets it, it's not a good thing for Northern Yu, so He Xiaoling, who doesn't like that colorful flower at all, has to participate. Notify the Jinin army, and I will use all our strength to steal that flower. Hoorer received the order and immediately turned into hundreds of flying creatures and rushed away. This is also one of the advantages that helps him transmit information quickly. Hixaling kept the mission to inform everyone and wait for him to leave. Then Seventh Big Brother flew next to Hixaling and took on the task of announcing this to everyone at home. The kestrel fanned its wings a few times and soared into the sky, quickly returning to Northern U Mountain, Wuziu's general headquarters. Completely different from North Mountain, Mekong Mountain looks like a giant blockhouse with roots planted in tall rings bristling with thorns. Just panning the camera, does it look like you've stumbled into a horror movie? Inside, in a meeting room of secretly introverted boys, everyone's faces showed seriousness. Standing around the bull demon king, he had just received information from the falcon. Hixaling will lead the Jinan team to snatch the flower. If Hixaling went to get that flower, Bull Demon King would have to speed up to get there in time. He called the kestrel and flew to North Mountain to tell the company director that he needed to call Ancient Empire to return to protect Mekong Mountain while the elders were on a business trip. It seems that Bull Demon King has not used the weapons given to him by divine beings for a while. Now is the opportunity for people to know what fear it is. He stood up with an axe in his hand and said to his junior Lingxi, "I'm searching for the way. If a woodcutter walks by and sees a body like that, his soul will soar to cloud 9. Plop was the sound of strong footsteps falling into a green puddle, followed by many people passing through the same section. The unreal sublime group following Wang Hao was passing through the swampy forest deep inside where the flower was. They were very alert, but when they came here, Wang Hao also had to remind them to slow down. Here he sees something wrong. Since stepping into this swamp, Wang Hao has felt something that seems to obscure his mind, making him not feel awake. He didn't know what it was. He just felt that in the silence around the trees and water there was something strange that was hard to put into words. With a keen nose and a sixth sense that is more sensitive than that of women, the more Wang Hao stepped inside, the more he realized that that feeling was intense and overwhelming. That means they are gradually approaching that flower, right? Is this flower named Anna? But why does it feel like I'm being psychologically manipulated? Suddenly, the team member walking behind him coughed in pain, clutching his head and screaming in pain. Wang Hao was lost in thought until he heard a scream. That team member. He just stopped walking to consider the situation. At that time, Yuan Feng had blue veins all over his face and forehead. Her hands clasped her head, rubbing her hair. Her mouth opened and she screamed as if her body was about to explode. To ease the situation, Wang Hao opened his mouth and saw his 36 teeth and shouted, "Everyone stay away from Yuan Feng." That statement only has the effect of making things more stressful, not preventing it. Yuan Feng swung his sword with all his strength straight down at the nearest team member, causing him to spurt blood to the side. The remaining people panicked and everyone thought that Yuan Feng had gone crazy. But no one wants to avoid him. Seeing this, Yuan Feng had a clear target for his arm to swing up and slash. The sword in his hand enlarged, emitting a dazzling yellow light. Yuan Feng used his sword to slash at his brothers, causing them to flee in disarray. I was smoking a cigar and had bad luck. But now life is more important than worrying about avoiding a fatal move that can kill a rank 1 alien beast without making it in time. Yuan Feng rushed forward and slashed the nearest team member who died before he could react. Seeing that the situation was too tense, Wang Hao stopped shouting and rushed straight to Yuan Feng, raising his arm to block the attack. Quickly counterattacked with a bright red line that hit Yuan Feng's head with a resounding sound. I don't know if he has any way to regain his sanity. I feel like I can't reconnect when I press the button to exit the car. It's hard to understand why Yuan Feng suddenly lost control like that. Where did this guy get these new cigars? I do not know. Scared to the point of sweating but still smoking cigars. They are entering the area with the flower. Is it because it makes people crazy? As soon as the question was finished, both brothers felt something strange. Eyes changing from brown to blue signal psychological manipulation. Then both of them repeated exactly what Yuan Feng had just done. It started with a severe cough. Sounds like someone who's been in rehab for years. Wang Hao began to realize that more and more team members were suffering from this condition. His face was sweating and he was scared, worried, and confused. The road to the Starflower is becoming more and more distant. But that flower is still in the middle of the swirling water as if it created the force to attract water and did not grow in this place by choice. Because in the subconscious of the rainbow seven-colored flower, more and more sentences came out. Why is it so complicated for humans to unite with even strange beasts in this world? I don't know what it's talking about or who it's talking to, but it seems like it knows a little about the outside world. So does this flower know that people are frantically picking it off the branch. Northern mountain cold winds and snow blow all year round. Under the dry ground, due to the drop in temperature, a solid root suddenly grew, golden in color and shiny like sugar candy. But it was not something sweet but a root of Wuziu that had just undergone enhancement, hurting him to the point of death. Just having a level 4 root was like giving birth. He has 8 left, enough for 8 more attempts.